2020, episode 134, Financial/Life Lessons from the Queen's Gambit. This is the 39.6 Facebook and YouTube Live Finance Show, the show that teaches high earners like yourselves how to make your money work for you, so you don't have to work for your money. We talk general investing, taxes, real estate, syndications, Airbnb, paying for college, paying for childcare, and even the car you drive. Today we are going to talk about the Queen's Gambit. So I don't really watch much television, and these like TV shows and series, like I really can't watch them because then I want to watch like everything, right? So, and then it just gets in the way of me actually getting anything else done, like doing these shows. So I was saving this up for basically Thanksgiving, and I like these short series because you can just start them and finish them. It's not like you have to like finish multiple seasons. Okay, and that's another reason why I don't really watch. I mean, I usually just watch movies if I'm going to watch something because I can start it, I can finish it, and there's no additional hanging like commitment to or desire to watch anything else afterward, like the next episode. Okay, so we had put off watching the Queen's Gambit until starting this past weekend, and then planning that I'd be able to finish it during Thanksgiving because I'm taking care of the kids the whole week, at least from Wednesday to Sunday. And so backstory, first of all, I love chess. I grew up playing chess. My dad taught me how to play chess when I was, I don't remember, like super young. He would play without his queen, and then I got better. Then he'd play without his rook, and then he'd play eventually played even. But I don't know, I probably started playing when I was like 5 years old. I don't really remember a time that I wasn't playing chess. So it was part of our household growing up, and I even played like on I guess it was a club or a team. I don't know. This is like in 6th grade. But we didn't have a club at my high school, although I wish we had. And I grew up in Detroit, and there's actually a good amount of chess in Detroit. But I still love playing chess. I just don't play it much anymore. And of all chess openings, the Queen's Gambit is by far my favorite opening, okay, for a number of reasons. Like growing up, a lot of people played Roy Lopez, people who like chess, and everybody played like Pawn King 4 or E4. This is like not related to finance at all, but the Queen's Gambit is starting with like the Queen's Pawn, and one thing, it also throws people off who aren't familiar with it. But I don't know, I always loved that opening. So I was really excited when I heard about this movie or this series coming out, and I figured it'd be like a lot of other chess type shows or movies where, yeah, they appeal to a small crowd of people who like chess. Like we saw Searching for Bobby Fischer in the theater when I was a kid. My dad took me. That was one of few movies I saw growing up in the movie theater because we didn't spend money going to movies. But when that came out, we did see it. But most chess movies and shows don't actually gain mainstream popularity. I was astounded how many people were talking about this show. I was like, okay, this is going to be really good if people who don't even like chess are actually liking the show, because I figured an important part of the movie, or I don't know what you call it, miniseries. Okay, so if you haven't seen it, you probably just skip the rest of this episode. Or you can. I'm not really going to give away plots, but there's a lot that they put into this 7-episode series. I mean, the character development is just unbelievable. And they made chess relatively exciting. Regular chess, like in tournaments, is really slow. Like just painfully slow for most people. Like people think soccer is like slow and boring to watch. Chess, like speed chess, blitz chess, 2-minute, 5-minute games, that can be pretty reasonably entertaining. But a regular chess match, people are moving like one move every like 5 minutes. It's really slow. They did a really reasonable job keeping the pace of this pretty quick, just to make it, palatable for people. But the development of the main character, Elizabeth Harmon, is just really impressive. And she is like a lot of stories begin with somebody who is from a very underprivileged background. And she was an orphan, although she was an orphan of, at least her mother was likely like a mathematical genius. So if you believe there's some genetic orientation here, then sure, so be it. That she was probably born with a gift herself. And once she started playing chess while she was an orphan at the orphanage, she picked it up so quickly without even having a board, and she learned how to play in her mind. Okay, so I mean, that's not an uncommon thing in like movies about chess geniuses, is that, you know, they start very young and they're unbelievably impressive from a very, very early onset. Okay, but she basically goes from being an orphan to not being an orphan, and isn't even able to get a chessboard for a while after she was being adopted. After she had been adopted, and she'd been playing in tournaments and didn't get a board until she won money from a tournament. Like, unbelievable. So she had been playing all these games mentally. And then she achieves unbelievable success. Okay, so you know, the first lesson here, which is not an uncommon lesson, but it really doesn't matter where you come from, right? Anybody from any background with any handicap, okay? Sure, it's probably more challenging for people who have less resources, but especially here in America, anybody can become like the best, potentially in the world, at anything they potentially could. It really doesn't matter where you start from. She was very dedicated and focused on basically this one thing. Okay, so I mean that's lesson number one, and pretty common thing, like a rags to riches kind of an idea. Okay, but it's really impressive to see somebody like her, especially in a world where it's not just dominated by men; it is overwhelmingly male dominated, and there have been a number of females who have been very competitive in the chess world, like Judith Polgar, but not many. So to basically go and compete and dominate the top men in the world is just amazing. So that is awesome, and I think a lot of people like the show because that is one of the main themes, is that this woman can beat all the men, and I think that is appropriate, especially in this world where we still unfortunately have a wage gap that is statistically proven in many ways, even in the highest professions like medicine, even in what might seem to be very fair environments, there's still wage gaps. Okay, but number two, okay, so this character, the protagonist here, she is a very flawed person, although she is, you know, a genius. And what we see a lot with a lot of super geniuses is that they also have their own internal struggles. Her internal struggles are overwhelming, and started when she was in the orphanage, and she was basically forced to take tranquilizers. So she got addicted at a very young age. So she fought with addiction. Okay, and in a lot of these episodes at the beginning, they show her winning and winning, but then she can't just keep winning, right? That's not really a story. Yeah, if you haven't watched this, probably just wait till you watch it. But she has to lose at some point, right? And why does she lose? Well, I mean, she starts playing competitive, better people, better competition, but her own internal struggles were the primary reason that she did not attain the success she wanted earlier on. Okay, and this translates to a lot of things we do ourselves in our own lives, in our own jobs, in our careers, and in finance. We ourselves actually are our own biggest enemies at attaining whatever it is we're trying to get to. Sometimes we have difficulty even trying to determine what our goals are, okay? But routinely in finance, people just making their own bad decisions about their money are what prevent them from attaining success. I mean, it's very easy to watch people do this, trying to time the market, things like this, choosing an asset allocation they can't tolerate, seeing the market dip, selling when it's down, and then not getting back in, and they basically lock in all these losses. And you can just do this once in your life, and it can set you back forever. I mean, there are people back in 2008, probably who were in their 50s, let's say, and they couldn't handle it. They sold out. They got their assets cut in half, locked it in, haven't gotten back in the market, and they're way behind where they would have been if they had just ridden it out. Okay. Or people who were like in their 60s and about to retire, and then they locked in all those losses and had to work until like they're 70 or more. Okay. A lot of people talk about financial advisors and how they're not worth it. Well, the biggest benefit to having somebody else, a third party, a neutral third party between you and your investment assets, is that there's somebody else there to walk you down from the ledge. There's somebody to help prevent you from screwing yourself over. Okay. I mean, 1% fee over your lifetime, yeah, can be worth millions of dollars. But what's also worth billions of dollars is making one bad mistake at the wrong time. And so there's definitely value in having other people. Now, the question is how much that value is worth and other things like that. But you are your own worst enemy in like everything. Limiting beliefs, limiting what you think you can achieve, how you can achieve these. So many people think, I can't do this because that. But maybe you really can, but you're fixated on this cannot. And so that will just, never happen. Like I see so many people talk about, oh, I can't invest X amount of dollars per year because I am a blank. Okay, well, maybe at your current position, your income might not support investing X amount of dollars, or maybe with your current expenses, you wouldn't be able to. But maybe you could change jobs. Maybe you could cut expenses. Maybe a lot of other things that we often don't let ourselves think could actually happen. Like people often say, well, the average X person makes this amount of dollars. Okay, but just because that's the average, it doesn't mean that you have to earn average. Like, are you earning, let's say that in the 70th percentile? Are you earning in the 90th percentile of your training, of your specialty? Okay, you don't have to start a side business to try to make a bunch more money. If you already have a high-paying job, you can leverage your own job to make a ton more money. I see a lot of people focus on growing secondary jobs, and okay, you can do that, and they may give you a lot of other benefits, but leveraging the one thing that has so much earning potential financially often makes the most sense. So that could just easily be something like working another shift, or working another shift at a different company as an independent contractor, okay, and picking up moonlighting, things like that. Working smarter instead of harder. Okay, maybe cut down your primary job to part-time if you can, and then pick up other jobs as a contractor, things like that. Or just switch jobs completely, find something where you can have some ownership in the company and make more profits. Or you could be in a company that you could become a partner in, but they're not letting you become partner because they already have partners who don't want to dilute themselves. Okay, we ourselves are usually the number one reason holding us back from attaining something bigger. Okay. And she very well demonstrated that in episodes like 4, 5, 6. Okay, number 3. Okay, and this is something that I didn't put as much value in when I was younger, less experienced in a lot of things. Okay, but I'm going to talk about the movie a little bit again. So they have to beat Russia at the end. She has to beat Russian, Borkov, and I mean, Russians, like this is their thing, right? And they talk about it earlier in the game. They're like, or earlier in the show, they pay people in Russia to be chess players. Like that is a career, right? So when you train people from a young age as a career, like you have like a whole large body of people that you're training, you're going to have unbelievably strong people, right? So Russians have historically just dominated the chess world. Okay, not, I mean, like every single player, but they have historically done very well. Many of the grandmasters, especially before internet days, were Russian, right? And it makes sense, right? If you're in a country where it's very popular and a lot of people pursue it, then there's a lot of people competing against each other who all make each other better, but also you have a bigger pool of people so that you can get the best people, right? And so I say pre-internet days because now with internet, there's a lot more competition across different people, a lot more matches. And I think the internet has actually democratized chess in a lot of ways. But I mean, you look in the 80s, 70s, 60s, I mean, so many Russians. Now, they talk about this early in the movie that part of the reason they do so well is they don't compete against each other as much as they compete as a team. Even though chess is an individual sport game, the Russians, they say, work more collectively, okay? Because they just want to dominate the world in chess. And it's just very interesting because in America, you know, we have a much more individualistic way, especially in individual sports or competitions, okay, where we think of things as, you know, this one person. But it really is a team sport to the Russians. And it kind of reminds me of like professional cycling, like the Tour de France and whatnot. And I don't want to get into the whole steroid issue, but you know, they race individually, but they are on a team. So they actually decide like they have to like cycle in a way to support the one person. It's not like the winner did this all by himself. They basically decide this in advance because the rest of the peloton have to basically kind of protect that guy so that guy can win stage after stage after stage. If they were all actually competing against each other, they're going to lose to the other countries, right? And so in the movie, the Russians, they help each other out when games are adjourned. Now, I've watched professional chess matches and I've never heard of games getting adjourned. I think this was something maybe for the movie, but potentially it's something that's happened, especially after games that have gone very, 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 very long. But when they adjourn these games in the movie, they have like overnight until the next game to resume it. And then if that happens, then they get to have more time to study and they can talk with other people. So she sees her opponent, Borgov, in the last episode, talking with the other Russians at the break. Actually, it wasn't Borgov, it was the previous player to him, talking at the break and getting help from the other Russians. And yeah, it's a lot harder when you're playing against a team of people. And it's interesting. I mean, chess is just such an incredible game because most games are just games, but chess actually, people, play it professionally. And so it's a game of skill. It really is. And kind of, it's a little of a tangent. There's only 32 pieces, 16 of which are pawns. So it's really, there's a lot of combinations, but it's not that complicated of a game. A computer theoretically should be able to beat most people because a computer can memorize like every single game ever done, calculate every single calculation so fast, right? But even when they've designed supercomputers to play against the best people in the world, for most history of time, humans still beat computers. The best humans would beat the best computer. Okay, there was a computer called Deep Blue, and it would play against these grandmasters, and they tried doing this over and over again. But usually humans would win. But that's when you're talking about like one person versus one computer. But if you were to actually take like this supercomputer and put on a team of other people and then play against one individual, the best person in the world, that is different. Okay. I mean, our brains are still still have different skill sets than computers. Computers can only do what we train them to do, not excluding artificial intelligence, which really does change the game per se with these computers. But what I'm getting at in a roundabout way, in the last episode, and through her struggles internally, she has basically burned all of these bridges with people. She has no family because she's an orphan, and her adopted stepmother had died. And her chess friends, people who had beaten her, who had wanted to support her, she had found ways to burn bridges with them as well. So when she's going to Russia for these biggest matches of her life, basically the United States versus Russia, she had like nothing, okay? But just prior, and she was almost not even going to go, one of her old friends from the orphanage had reconnected with her, okay? And she now had some support. Going back to the last match, when she has to beat Borkov, all of her chess friends had decided they are going to support her despite the differences they had had, okay? And during the adjournment of the last match, they go through all these scenarios with her. Okay, they have a whole team of people running through all the different possible ways that the match could go, and helped her basically do all of this planning for the match. And then she wins, right? Sorry, for people who haven't watched it, but she wins. She beats Borkov, and it was the third time she had played him. She had played him twice before, and she had gone crushed both times. But she took her game to a new level. Okay, but why and how? Okay, so at the end of it, this came down to her getting past her own internal demons, but then also leveraging relationships of other people. When she was playing these opponents, these Russian opponents, they were working as a team to beat her. She was not going to win. But now she actually was able to leverage other people as well and compete the way they were competing at their own game, the way they were playing it. Okay, so that takes me to the third main lesson here, is that relationships are your most important resource basically in life, right? They're the difference between success, failure. The difference between basically everything comes down to relationships. You can be the best person, have the most talent, right? You're still going to get in your own way, some way or another. And even if you get past that, to still be the best, getting there just by yourself, it's just not the way it's going to actually happen, right? Leveraging other people, leveraging the relationships you have with other people will get you there so much farther. So many people focus on, I want all of this to myself. I want to do this all myself so that it's all mine. But you can have all of your own pie, but it might be a small pie. When you leverage other people, you can grow that pie so much bigger. So even if it's diluted, you still have more, and more people can have more. And so, I mean, this show in just 7 hours, I mean, it covered so much. The character development was just amazing. You really pull for her, and she wins, but she does it not because of her own intelligence. That was how she got close. And not because of her own demons, which basically prevented her from getting there. But she had to get past it for herself with the help of her friend, and win with the help of her other peers. So don't do it all yourself. It's okay to ask for help, because that's how you're going to get faster, bigger, quicker. I said that kind of twice. Okay. So anyway, this show is amazing. I kind of want to watch the whole thing all over again from the beginning. Now that I know how the whole thing pans out, because it is just an awesome show. And then I didn't mention the imagery, the videography work, like the lighting in this, the lighting they have throughout this entire series is I don't know if this can even be up for like an Academy Award because it's not necessarily a movie as much as it is a series, maybe. But I mean, the lighting that they use throughout this movie it's just awesome. Just love it. Okay, that's about it. That's Black Friday. Talking about like a show, which is something I never ever really do because I'm not really one for like movies, but this one was special. So until tomorrow for episode number 135. Again, this is not legal, professional, financial, or any other advice. Simply my entertainment, maybe yours. Until tomorrow for episode number 135. Have a good one.